What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Andy, and I've got Josh here with me, and we are the Review Buffs. And Josh is new to YouTube. I've got another YouTube channel. I've got this beautiful setup behind me. He's still working on his, and so he is just going to be on audio today. And today, we are talking about Endgame. Josh, you have now seen Endgame twice, and we're going to review this film. I've seen it once. What did you think about this film?
Okay, like, it is one of the best movies I have ever seen, if not the best. I loved
cowboy.
it. I know.
That's a big
I mean,
statement.
I'm gonna look back on this and I might regret it, but I'm so hyped about it. I loved it. It was great. We'll get into some things that like it could have done better, and there are some criticisms, but I loved it. It did exactly what I think it was trying to do, and it did very, very well.
So here's something I want to separate right at the beginning of this video that I think both of us are going to openly admit, that we've got a lot of our fandom interjected into our opinion of this film. If we look at it objectively, I think, from a non-fan perspective, maybe not comparing it to or factoring in the 21 other films that preceded it in the MCU, I'm not sure I would as confidently say this is the best film I've ever seen. But because we've been on this 21 film journey, I think you and me both connect on an emotional level with these characters. It is a very, very powerful, impactful film for us, and I think it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, there's been other movies that have moved me more and have been more influential on my life and the way I see the world.
Sure. Like
but
Schindler's List,
this movie,
or, you know,
yeah.
some of those, yeah.
Yeah.
It's different than that. But. So before we get into the meat, we are going to start into some spoilers right now. So if you have watched this movie up until this point, stop it right now if you have not seen Endgame. Just know that we liked it and we think you'll like it. Go see it. Resume this video once you finish it. And with that, we're going to get into the spoilers. And so, in summary, the Avengers are going to travel back in time, different points in time, to grab the Infinity Stone so that they can reverse what Thanos has done. But we're not necessarily reversing it. And this is something, the first thing that I really liked, and I was concerned about this film because I thought, okay, we don't want to just undo everything that happened in Infinity War, because then Infinity War is meaningless. But they didn't undo it. They brought the people back. They brought the snap victims back, but they didn't erase the snap either, which I thought was a really nice way to handle the time travel. They go back, they grab the stones. You're creating different timelines by doing that, because as we learned from the Ancient One and Banner's conversation in New York. And then from there, you're going to have a fight with Thanos, but it's not the same Thanos. It's past Thanos. You're going to take care of him, but the Thanos that we knew in Infinity War, he still did the snap. In our timeline, he still snapped these people. He still died at the hands of Thor. And all of these people are just now coming back into society, which is still not peachy. You know, I mean, they're back, but it's not necessarily like, you know, there's still not big complications and issues and ramifications resulting from this snap. So to me, I'm actually really pleased with the way they handled it, because they didn't disrespect Infinity War, but they still avenged it.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard because comics are known for, you know, like just undoing what they did. And if they would have just done that, then it would have lessened it, right? Like there's no way around that. And so the very first line of this movie, which I think set this movie up very well, and it was a conversation between Clint and his daughter, and he said, "You know where you're going?" She says, "Yes." And he said something along the lines of, "Well, it matters about how we get there, or about how you get there." And so that's what this movie, right? We've already seen the Spider-Man trailer. We know that somehow, like, Peter Parker's back.
Black Panther has a movie announced. I think there's a couple others. Like, we know that they,
Like, right. We knew it was going to happen. Like, that, it wasn't really a question. It was a question of how are they going to get there? Is it going to be a rewarding journey? Right. Are they going to take us through it? And are we going to love it?
And we loved it. To me, one of the most powerful moments I have experienced personally in cinematic history. And again, setting this aside, you know, this is definitely fandom interjected. I've been through this 21 film journey over the last 11 years. But when Doctor Strange is opening up all of the portals at the very end, we're battling on the Avengers headquarters. And all of these portals are opening. We're seeing all of these heroes coming up. And you see behind them where they were when they got snapped behind them in the portals. And it was just this incredibly emotional moment. And then to have Cap say Avengers assemble, even though there was part of me that was like, they're assembled. Clearly, Cap. Like, they're there. But still, just that catchphrase, it just gave me so many chills. And I think from that point on, for the rest of the film, I was just on the verge of bursting into tears because it was just so powerful.
Yeah, that scene you could tell was the culmination of everything that they wanted to do. And that scene really made the whole movie land, I think, with and they did it in a way that you already knew that the snapback worked, right? Like they had they had the wife calling, and so you knew that they were back, but then like somehow you just got thrown right into the battle, right into this like 3-on-1 melee with Thanos, and so you kind of forgot that they were now all back alive. At least I did for like 10 minutes, and then all these portals just start opening up, and you're like, wow, wait, they're coming, and they're all coming.
So Captain Marvel was a character I was particularly nervous about in this. Even though you and me both, we liked the Captain Marvel film, we didn't really get caught up in the politics of it all. But I was still a bit nervous that this character was going to come in. You know, she's still new to the MCU, and she was just going to be the magic solution to everything. I was actually pretty happy with how they handled her in this film. What did you think, Josh? Did you think Captain Marvel was utilized in a sensible way?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, this ties into, she comes back, she's like, let's go get him, which they kind of showed in the preview, and they do, right? They go.
Can we talk about that for a second? Thanos dies in the first 20 minutes. What?
Yeah, what?
And that holds, too, because technically speaking, we don't kill our Thanos, the Thanos from the original timeline. We kill a new Thanos that's from some other timeline from the past. Because remember, anytime you travel to the past in the MCU now, as we established, you create new timelines. And so our Thanos did die within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was our Thanos, and he's a goner.
He did,
and I love that he
went for the head,
and sure he didn't have his he went for the head, and sure like he didn't have his stones and he wasn't as powerful, but she just went in and took him out, and so that was the scene where I knew that I was watching a different kind of movie, that it was going to subvert expectations, and that it was going to take me on a ride. And I was, from that moment on, I was
I do remember vividly thinking in my seat, all right, where the hell is this going from here? I can't think of where this would go from here. And then of course it starts getting pieced together, and you can see what the direction the movie's going in. But it was just such an unexpected start to a film, I thought, and I thought it landed very well. Another question I think a lot of people had relates to Tony Stark. And let's talk about Tony for a little bit, because this journey started with Tony. This journey started with Iron Man back in 2008. And Iron Man is the one who makes the snap, sacrifices his own life to do so. How did you feel about how he got the stones, and if he was powerful enough or not? I know there's considerable debate I've read online on should that have even been allowed to happen. What were your thoughts on that, and how much that made sense in the established universe?
Yeah, it gets a little shaky. They definitely did that because they wanted Tony to make that sacrifice, and they wanted to complete Tony's character arc.
Which
that was the reason that they did that. Yeah. So you can get into the fact that like, you have to be a higher being than a mere mortal to be able to handle the power of the stones, and
but
that's true.
Doesn't handle it.
He doesn't. He died. It kills him.
Yeah.
Like we saw in the what end credit scene where that woman goes up and like gets the stone out from its cage, and she like holds it for 5 seconds before she disintegrates from its power. So like that was probably enough time for her to snap her fingers, like just theoretically, like, so it kills him, right? He didn't handle it. and who knows how much of that like the suit was absorbing or whatever. It seems like he baked that into the suit somehow.
Right.
But I don't.
Well, it's Stark Tech. I mean, and Stark Tech is pretty advanced, and this is something that landed very well with me personally. I was thinking based on the trailers, and we talked about this beforehand. The trailers all seem to focus on Tony. We know that Tony started it all, and so I was kind of predicting this. Tony's gonna be the one to deliver the final blow, and in my mind, I was thinking that doesn't make sense. He's a human. The machine's strong, but it shouldn't be strong enough to take out freaking Thanos. But the way that he got the stones, he doesn't even take the gauntlet from Thanos. He's got another gauntlet that we don't know about. And the Stark Tech is intelligent enough and, built so that it can just basically sneak up on Thanos, swipe the stones from him. He makes the snap. Nothing happens. Tony's got the thing, and bada bing, bada boom. And something else that really sat well with me, too, that I didn't realize until later, because I got home and the first thing I wanted to do is watch all of the Avengers films over again. And there is a line between, I believe it was Cap and Iron Man, where Cap straight up says to Iron Man, "You are not the one to make the sacrifice play." And then literally he makes the sacrifice play and saves the whole universe as a result. So to me, It's nothing but chills. Did they bend the rules? I think it's debatable. It obviously killed him, and so I think that's sufficient. Should he have been able to even make the snap? Maybe not, but to me, I'll forgive it because I just think it was too epic in this universe, and it was too much of a closure that I just can't be sad about it personally.
Yeah, I agree. They did it. They did it well. Another common criticism of the movie is that it was slow and drug on at the beginning. What do you think about that?
I just don't see it. Now, this is just me, but for the first scene gripped me immediately because we see Hawkeye with his family, and you know what's coming. You know what's coming. You're like, they're going to get snapped, and he's going to be the only one left. We know he's going to be Ronin. He's going to be killing people, and you know that from the trailers. And so it's just like it starts with this tension. And then from there, it has a pretty powerful question to me of, especially after they kill Thanos, is where is this going? And so to me, yeah, maybe it doesn't get super meaty right away. I thought it was totally fine, and I had no problem with the pacing of this film personally. Did you have any problem with the pacing?
No, I loved it. So the way I've been describing this film to people is that it feels like a movie with like the bonus scenes or like an extended version of the movie. But it felt like that, where it had some scenes that, did they need to be in there? Do you need to see like Ant-Man complaining about not getting a selfie with the kids or whatever? Like, no, it doesn't need to be in there. But yeah. But I mean, come on, for the fans that have been there, you've sat through 60, 70 hours of Marvel movies. Like, you can't do, or however many hours of Marvel movies, like you can't.
I think most people complained about the time before they saw it. Once I saw, I don't see a lot of people thinking, that was too long. In fact, our theater, most of them knowing full well that there was no post-credit scene, still sat through the credits, even after a 3-hour movie. Yeah. And I think that says something. Can we talk about Ant-Man? Ant-Man, to me, was one of the most interesting characters in Endgame, in my opinion. And his movies have not been my favorite. I mean, I think that the Ant-Man movies have been entertaining. They're still MCU films. I enjoy them, but none of them really felt like a super powerful pack a punch film to me. But Ant-Man's character in this film really gripped me.
Yeah. I think that he both provided some levity, which is his character's thing, but he also moved the plot forward. You know, he's the spark of hope. He came back and he was like, guys, like, I know this sounds crazy and it's a little bit crazy, but
we're gonna time travel.
I'm putting it out there.
We're gonna. I love it. Like, you mean like we're gonna build a time machine? No, we're not gonna. Yeah, it's a time machine.
Yeah, and that's all throughout the movie. He is what I think brings a little bit. I feel like he's the person that most of the audience would be in that situation. You know, like he's in there, he's grounding us. He is.
He's very relatable. Very relatable.
Yeah, he's very and so. I think that he grounds the movie very
personally,
well,
I would say for me, after the first two Ant-Man movies, I enjoyed them both. I wouldn't have given them bad reviews. I would have given them probably 7 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10, 6, 7 out of 10. But I haven't really taken Ant-Man seriously. Like when we kind of saw that Ant-Man was probably going to play a big role in this, I really wasn't feeling great about that because I just didn't take his character seriously. But after this film, he's for real. I'm taking him seriously at this point.
The other criticism I've heard is that Thanos's power levels like don't really line up with what they were in Infinity War, because he had like all the stones in Infinity War, and they were able to take him down, like at least like kind of get him to a stalemate. Yeah. And then in this film, he didn't have the stones, and they like were having a hard time. Do you have any responses to that? Any thoughts about that?
Well, he had a lot more help. This time, I mean, I think if we're thinking about the scene on Titan, where it's the Avengers kind of sneaking up on him, the Avengers and Guardians together sneaking up on Thanos and almost getting the gauntlet off of him, versus he's got no stones, but he's got a full army behind him. And I think it's important to note that this is a different Thanos. This Thanos has not been through the spiritual journey of sacrificing Gamora. This Thanos has not been through the journey of finding those other stones. This Thanos has also seen his own death. And so it's almost really important to treat them as two different characters. He's at totally different areas of his journey. And I think that read to me that this is not the same Thanos.
I like it. That's a good take. Cool.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our first video on this YouTube channel. We hope you did like it. And if you did, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to hit notifications. We're going to be trying to post videos on a somewhat regular basis as we get started up here. Might be about every other week or so. We'll try to increase that production quantity as much as possible. Josh, before we leave, any final words, any final impressions you want to give everyone about Endgame?
If you haven't seen it, go see it again, or go see it. If you've seen it and you want to go see it again, go see it again. I really enjoyed my second time.
Everybody watching, go. Just go again. I don't care if you've seen it or not. Just go. Okay, let's go right now. Okay, I'll meet you over there.